Right, everybody, welcome back. Episode 15 of the Milner Field House History and Discovery podcast. After another tiny little break. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's
Hiya.
Good Friday.
Hiya.
Hi, Andy. Hi. Oh shit! I've just realised you got your full name on there, Chrissie.
Doesn't matter.
So, yeah, we've not podcasted for I think 2-3 weeks now, and still plenty bit that's gone on, but we need to cover a few things straight away. So, as we got a bit back, don't know what that was. We could get straight into this, and I'm going to pass first of all over to Chrissie, and she's going to tell us a bit more about what's been going on the last few weeks and how far we've got, particularly in that northern side of the house. Over to you, Chrissie.
When you say northern, do you mean the courtyard side?
Yeah, the courtyard side, yeah, northwest, yeah.
Yeah, we just go on, Andy. Sorry.
No, it's I just said the north-facing side. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I don't know north, south, east, or west. I haven't got a bloody clue. Yeah, we've just been basically excavating in front of the courtyard where the porch once stood. And basically, I mean, God, it's been weeks since we've done a podcast. We've done so much work. I can't really recall when, what came first, but we've basically uncovered the entire footprint of the porch, including the front step to the porch, the right-hand side wall with a remaining seat base, because obviously there was seating inside the porch, one on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The foundations to the vestibule, which was immediately in front of the well, basically it was porch with its seating either side. Then there was a doorway into a vestibule, and then there would have been a doorway into the house, into the hall. So we've uncovered all the foundations to the porch. The left side of the porch has completely been stripped, though we have found the very bottom foundations. Like I said, the right side, there is actually still a partial wall there, isn't there, running all the way down. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there's a whopping great big tree growing right across the corner of it, which we can't really do anything about. But if it hadn't been for that tree, there'd have been nothing left. So
True, very true. And you
basically, the tree saved it.
yeah, and you got to have a nice Bakelite jigsaw puzzle, didn't you? Or porcelain and Bakelite.
Yeah, porcelain and Bakelite. Yeah, electrical, either electrical outlets or switches were found in fragments, which some of them have managed to be pieced back together. Very small fragments of tile, a lot of Victorian window glass, very, very thick. A lot of it, which was basically sat on the remaining section of the porch floor we've previously talked about, but it was under a tree. And the rest of the time we've been cutting a channel down the front side of a house, aiming sort of from a gentleman's steps all the way down towards the remaining section of porch wall. We've cleared quite a lot of debris, and last week, was it Saturday, Andrew, that we found the window frame?
Last Saturday, yes. Yep.
Yeah, it was, wasn't we? We noticed, didn't we, that we were scraping away with trowels, and then we started seeing square pieces of glass that had leading still intact, and then we found the outline of the frame, metal window frame. I presume that would have been raw iron, I guess. They used a lot of raw iron in the house, didn't they? And it's still got its sort of rope twist handle, and around where the handle attaches to the window frame, it's got like a little flower around it, a flower motif, which is really, really pretty. So we managed to recover that almost. I mean, there was a little bit more glass in it than than what was left when we actually managed to get it out the ground, but that was just because everything had fallen on top of it and it literally pushed everything outwards, so there was only a small section still remaining. you know, we've been very, very careful. I mean, I'm not an archaeologist, but I'm also not stupid. And, you know, I've done some homework on recovery of certain types of artifacts. And, you know, we took our time, we didn't rush. Unfortunately, there was a tree root growing through the window frame, which did not help. Which we managed to trim with some secateurs. And then I think it was Wednesday, while we were working in a similar area, I came across another section without a frame, unfortunately, and it was far too compressed and ruined to get out in one piece.
Yeah, wasn't it? Fractured mess.
It'd been flattened, hadn't it? It'd been flattened, basically. And there was no sign of a window frame.
No.
But just a corner chunk of iron still attached to the glass. So God knows what happened to the rest of it. But I believe that possibly could have been the top section of that window. The 3 triple windows, the arched windows of the hallway. The top half we know was some sort of painted, or we thought stained glass. Well, we found a lot of this hand painted, what would have originally been square fragments, but they were all broken, of green glass with delicate paintings of flowers on, and a couple of them look like sunflowers in a way. It's but yeah, that was very, very interesting, you know. And a lot of roof slate. I mean, I'm not talking about just the usual finds all the way around the house is roof slate. That particular corner where the porch wall still exists, working our way outwards towards a tree that's grown over that section of the porch, there's tons and tons of slate, roof slate, you know, all smashed up and almost like we used it as a dumping pit or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless the whole porch roof came off.
Yeah,
unless they just shoved the porch roof off and it just collapsed into the bottom. So there's a lot more work to do on that section, you know, just so that we've got a channel around the house where you can walk through and round. But it's really coming on. I mean, you know, we got absolutely soaked on Wednesday, didn't we? Yeah. Working there, but you know, we carried on. Yeah, it was, you know, and then me and Cherie had got a little bit sort of cheesed off. You know, it was backbreaking on that section, so we wandered down to just past the recess, past the bell tower, the missing bell tower, to the domestic side. And we started having a little sort of scrape around down there, and you know, near the coal chute, Andrew, that we found a while back.
Yeah.
And to the right hand side of the coal chute are three little drains, which you would have seen probably on the group. Now I can't remember if you were there. Were you there on Wednesday?
No, you haven't moved.
No, you've gone, haven't you? Yeah. And one of them has like a little lid, and it's obviously a terracotta something or other. But that was quite intriguing, and that's right next to the coal chute. So
are they like the 2 little holes around at the library side?
No, they're completely different.
No,
completely. They're much narrower. The opening at the top is quite wide, but then there's like a little gully, and then the hole itself is very, very small.
Okay.
I hypothesize that it might have been as part of an oil store where they get oil down in. There was a tank or something in there. They used a lot of oil for heating and lamps back in the day, so that was only a hypothesis. So I don't know, but it was unusual.
Makes sense to have a lid. Maybe all 3 originally had lids. I mean,
yeah, maybe so.
Yeah,
just to stop them, you know, any oxygen there getting in there as well,
or any dirt or anything, I suppose, or any rodents. But
yeah, you don't rats.
Yeah, I mean,
oil supply. No,
it was just another great little find, you know, something that you just would not expect to find. You know, we found drains before, but that was myself and Cherie were like, wow, what's this? Very peculiar.
Yeah, and it's remarkable to find and there was the little waterworks near back on the north side as well, the little iron flap and the opening for waterworks with a little wheel inside. Turn the supply.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, that was
finding these things, and yeah, the window was amazing.
What it say? What does it? That's directly original terrace level, directly outside the staircase hall.
That's right, yeah, and it said waterworks, so presumably
Yes, yes, yes.
main supply to the house, or as
Yeah.
I always think that somewhere under that part of the house there is a small reservoir under there, not a massive one, but I think there must be somewhere there.
Well,
But
it's quite deep and it's all red brick as well, so
yeah,
yeah, and it would seem it's only accessible from outside the house as well. It's you know, it's been built like a little chimney in certain aspects, and yeah, big old wheel to turn round down there, isn't there? Big old,
it is.
yeah.
You don't think it was
Yeah,
part of
that's
the? You don't think it was part of the well that's shown up in different places on various maps?
Well,
who
I
knows?
think it would have to be part of an actual piped water supply there. I think what's happened is Salt must have they must have harnessed one of the streams or the flowing water into a small reservoir or a big tank somewhere under the house or near under the house to the cellar level, and that would obviously be to control the supply into there. So failing that, if that's turned off, the water will just carry on in the underground stream, or what they call a culvert, under the house down onto the trout lake, the Boaton Lake eventually. But yeah, they would have been able to divert water in there when they wanted, but then to turn it off when they didn't, when it was full, or when they didn't need it. So that's just, I'm guessing that's what they did. Another thing which really caught our eyes as well, I don't know if Andy's seen this, but there was a beautiful brass door plate, which was wonderfully floral, ornate, and engraved as well. I think you may have posted it on the group, Chrissie.
Yeah, it's on the group. Yes, yes.
Remarkable. Everything we've seen so far, just that the detail, you know,
Yeah, very decorative.
decorative detail Victorians they had a standard. And it's just you don't get that these days. Everything's just bog standard, you know, straightforward.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah, we did. We actually found a lot of wood down in that area. I mean, the greatest yield of artifacts really have been right outside the hall where the windows were. You know, I did pull out a hinge, didn't I, with some wood still attached. Obviously, the you know, the wood hasn't been able to deteriorate because of the metal still being attached to it. Well, that's my theory anyway. But the amount of wood, even though it's just absolutely, you know, there's nothing, you couldn't recover it. It just powdered. You know, it was there and then it just powdered. Yeah, very. It's just got, you know, decades of being wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. I believe that there was probably a door down there at some point, or a door frame at least.
Yeah.
You know, it's that section that you were just talking about would have been on a door threshold, wouldn't it? It wouldn't have been on the door itself. So
No. Yeah, everything's kind of with time and degradation of the soil and the moisture and nature, and everything's a lot of stuff's fractured apart, which is why it was so nice to find most of that whole window frame intact. I think that was a special moment as well, personally.
Yeah,
that was the best part of last week for me.
Come along, I was like, wow, that's pretty special.
yeah.
So yeah, that channel around the front of the house, and the aim being for anybody that's not tuned in before, not watched before, is so that there's a walkway all the way around the outside outline of the house for people to wander around safely. So they're not going to kind of trip up or, you know, get snagged on anything. Just so, you know, obviously the whole cause for Historic England, Bingley Town Council to get the place recognised is mainly dependent on not on the history and the kind of the quality of the place, the model farms and the whole estate and the ancient orchids, but the fact that there is something left of the house. So yeah, that's obviously our main aim. If you've not watched before, the aim is just to kind of assist in that process, and then the house is safe for everybody, for posterity forever, and a whole new generations. You know, if it's made into a country park or it's made in special protected status, then, you know, new generations could come along and see what you couldn't see for decades.
It'll make it all worthwhile.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, isn't it? It's you know.
What else have I missed? We've been here and around and everywhere, haven't we? Really, kind of like in different spots, but mainly on the side of the house. Tidying up being going on, especially. and carried on clipping back ivy and dead trees and stuff as well. So there's kind of a lot of effort to tidy up as we go along. Obviously, it's difficult sometimes. We always welcome more volunteers. It doesn't care. We don't care who you are, what you are. You know, as long as you can come along and help and offer your time, really, that's absolutely great. If you want to get in touch with us, the Facebook group is the best place, probably. Milner Field History and Discovery Group. It's also the Milner Field page, and we're on Instagram and Twitter under the same names. And you can always email us if you prefer, milnerfieldhouse@pm.me. So any of those ways you can get in touch with Chrissie or Andy and myself, and just, you know, say when you want to come along, and we'll try our best to accommodate you. Yeah, bring decent footwear, a pair of sturdy footwear, some thick gloves, and obviously just your enthusiasm as well. And we'll be absolutely delighted if anyone can come and help. So I think we've got a couple of maybe a couple of volunteers coming this weekend on Saturday. But if you can make any other days, then please just let us know. Right, okay, that's all the housekeeping taken care of. What else? What else was it from last week and from Wednesday? I know I had a little trip up to the quarry. A few bits up there. What else was it that? Because I think you found a few bits and pieces. Yourself and Cherie, hadn't you, Chrissie?
Well, it was mainly the painted glass, really, wasn't it? And fragments possibly of a sink or something. Yeah, I can't remember.
Was there like
the white porcelain? Yeah.
There was what?
Some steel bolts.
What? Sorry.
There's a long steel bolt, like a threaded bolt.
Oh God, there was a few of those. There was one that looked like a mini jemmy, but I'm really not sure if it actually was. It might have been some sort of tie. But there was a lot of ironwork recovered that, you know, like I say, I can't really make head nor tails of it because I'm not, you know, a historian or a conservator or anything, so I couldn't really say. But there was a lot of pieces, obligatory glass, like I said, roof slate, electrical wire that was very, very old, but like it was copper. You know, basically what we did was we did actually line the remaining section of the wall outside the hall and the staircase hall with all the artifacts that we'd recovered from the ground, but unfortunately some people like to come and just toss them about the site. So what I decided to do was collect them all up together and sort of place them inside the house safely so that they're not, it's a shame you can't just have them on show, but it just seems prudent, you know, just to put them away. That, you know, they've not been taken, they're inside the house. You know, they're as safe as they can be. Like I say, it is only, you know, it's pieces of scrap to everyone else. To me, it's my kind of treasure. But yeah, we did have to remove them, unfortunately, and put them inside the house. But yeah, there was a lot of, you know, everything that we pull out the ground tells a story. You know, might not be able to tell the complete story yet, but maybe one day, you know, hopefully someone will be able to come along and say, you know, this was part of the door, or, you know, as long as we've saved them and they're safe, and you know, they're not just going to get lobbed about by kids.
No, I mean, yeah, the great part stuff. I mean, I've got a few bits started here. Obviously, everything we take apart from the house is to be kept for a later date, and I always stress this. Yeah, we don't advocate anybody going and taking for their own gain or personal ego, whatever they want to, you know.
No,
we don't do that. Like we made that clear at the start. Everything is to be returned. Everything is to be either put in a time capsule, returned, even to an exhibition. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people can't always respect what we're doing. I mean, a lot of time, last 2-3 weeks ago, I'd gone around the library area, lifted those big stones up onto the side, the top, and, you know, so many kids have come and kicked them all off again. And it's like, well, you know, what's the point? What's the thrill in that? But yeah, I guess we try and make it as safe as possible, and just, you know, ignore the idiots and don't let them get us down. Also, we noticed this last week as well. The North Lodge has been vacated. And on Wednesday, we noticed a couple of workmen going in there to clean out what was left. And it was a real old sorry state, wasn't it? It was pretty horrific.
Disgusting.
It's a pity, is that, isn't it? It's a pity.
I mean, to me, I would see, I mean, the rent's quite steep, but in the grand scheme of things, really, there's such a building with its history. I mentioned this to David. It's, yeah, the rent is steep, but you know, it's a privilege to live there, to be honest with you. And you get somebody, you know, I'm not, you know, personally disrespecting whoever lived there per se, but I mean, come on. You know, it was empty, so I went for a little wander around the back in the garden because I'd never been in there before, obviously. And, you know, it's such, I mean, the work that they must have done on that place when they extended it and they did the grounds. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. And to see it in the state, there was a sofa that had obviously been thrown down the steps behind the garage. Must have been there for years. You know, it was moss covered. And it was just absolutely disgusting. It was horrible. You know, there were, oh.
I mean, that place was last up for rent when I was looking less than 3 years ago. It would be about September, October 2020. So they've been in there 2.5 years.
That would account for the gardens being in such an overgrown state. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when it was first restored and first lived in, I think they respected it. You know, it was it was almost as though they knew it was a privileged place to live. But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe you can just think that they don't know the history of the place, so they've just turned up without looking into it. But you
quite
know,
hard not to know. It's quite hard not to know the history, though, isn't it? Really.
That's part of our job. It's like with the kids that David just mentioned. We've got to educate, haven't we? And education.
If they're just willfully ignorant and don't care, then, you know, as I think I've said to Chrissie before, you know, anybody that really doesn't care about the place, old Titus will cast a word over them in quiet. And
well, funny you should mention that, to be honest with you, because that's my kind of feeling when it comes to the curse and removing objects from a house. I have this weird this overshadowing feeling. Sorry, there's an ice cream van outside and it's really can you hear it?
Yeah. Anti-knife flake with raspberry ripple, please.
Oh, annoying. I have this feeling about that if you willfully remove artifacts from a house with bad intention and a dark heart, dare I say, because I'm having that, stealing that, taking that. I do believe you know, something's going to follow you. I mean, maybe some people out there looking at me now thinking, woo, think what you want. But when you've got such good intentions, I mean, you know, like myself, basically, you know, my intentions are purely for the house and, you know, the community aspect of it was, I never even realized that would happen when it's been absolutely wonderful. But my intentions were for the house and not to deprive the house of anything willfully. Everything belongs with the house. Unfortunately, we can't just leave them there and leave them on display. And, you know, I'd love that, like a little living museum. But, you know, as we know, it's, you know, things happen and people take things. But, yeah, I think if you willfully, distrustfully take things away without any regard or intention to return it, then yeah, I think something's coming for you. Just saying.
Yeah, it kind of seems like a bit of a bad karma situation, doesn't it? Really, I think if you know, if that's all your focus is on self gain, then yeah, you're not going to get the best outcome. So yeah, and obviously Andy and myself and the other main volunteers from the start shared in those principles. Talk about them openly and promote them. Anybody that doesn't, then obviously they don't get it. So yeah, we'll carry on for now. But the North Lodge, it was a shame to see it like that, and I think it looked like they'd had to rip all the carpets up as well. So
I'm not surprised. I can only imagine. Those
mattresses.
Professional clean.
Yeah, when we came back out on the Wednesday and those mattresses were piled up, I was like, that's not nice. So yeah, I dread to think So hopefully it'll all be renewed and restored and cleaned and put back in order, and they'll find, well, for the time being, until it's ours, we'll find some more well-behaved and house-trained tenants. And I don't sound judgmental, but if you'd seen what had come out of there, you'd be like, wow, that's horrific.
Yeah.
So anyways, we'll keep on buying the lottery tickets and all that, and so on, until the day comes. Anything I've missed about the house, or anything about we've done the last few weeks? So now it has been a few weeks, hasn't it? And it's impossible to remember and everything. But I think
we've probably missed out quite a lot, to be honest. But I really can't think of apart. I don't know if we covered in the last podcast, Andrew, cleaning up the Elizabethan steps up to the old manor. I can't remember.
Yeah, we didn't cover that fully, and also Sharon had helped removing the ivy.
Clear ivy.
The wall. I had a few hours helping her one Saturday, and now from the dance floor, you can actually see the whole wall along exposed. I know it would have generally been covered with ivy anyway. But and Andy's still in efforts to kind of totally scrape out and clean out all steps, so they look absolutely magnificent. How they would have looked. It's just been so, big thanks for that, and everybody that sees it now is like, wow, that's how it should be. The old house has gone, but those steps are still there. So there's really, really thick ivy up there. There's still probably quite a bit up there, but maybe someday we'll make it up there. There's that really odd. There's like a 10-foot long iron rod that was peeking out of the wall. It took me about an hour to actually cut through all the way through the ivy and get the whole flipping thing out. It was like a big wall rod or something that they'd use. So I don't know if that was from the new house and it'd been taken or thrown up there, or if it was from the old, or a repair in the old house. I don't
know. It's
very puzzling. But it was literally buried about yay deep under the soil and ivy, and I had to get on my hands and knees and hack it out with a machete and so on. But that whole area is all exposed and can be seen now. So another sterling job from old Ace there. What else have we got? There is a new video out as well. If you're in the group, are you watching as well? Video has been published, been put out today, and it's about the Delph Woods quarry, which is near Little Beck, as Andy pointed out to me the other day when we had a walk up there. The Little Beck feeds into what was the boating lake or trout pond, and then goes down through the farmland into the River Aire at the bottom. But that whole area was originally all for quarrying, for stone for the house, for all those lovely keystones, I believe. I don't know this for fact, 100%, but it would have made massive sense for Titus to buy the land, for there to be a quarry already there, and for it to be used. Otherwise, you'd have to transport stuff many miles. So hopefully later on, I've had a word with a few people around the area, historians, but nobody seems to have a lot of information. So there's a video out now on YouTube and Spotify and all the other places. Just search Milner Field House History and Discovery. It's about half an hour, and that goes into not only the quarry, but there's some buildings there, and I found bits of tools, machinery, corrugated roofs, slates, bricks, all kinds of stuff. So you that. We haven't made one of those videos for a while. We've been that busy with other stuff. So that's out to watch now. We'll give you something to do over Easter. Okay, right. So we've got a few minutes left. Andy, is there anything you want to add about Chrissie?
No, I don't feel as though I've got much to add, because I've still been going around on a Saturday, but the last few weeks, apart from everything Chrissie's already discussed, it just seems to have been a case of sort of muscle power to get some of the big bits moved up. I think.
Oh yeah, you did a lot last Saturday. You lifted loads last Saturday.
Yeah, it's not just about me, because there's, we've all been moving. It was just a fantastic idea you had to do that from the gentleman's steps to create that walkway around. think that's a fantastic way of doing it, and to
Yeah.
have all the pieces of stone that we've moved over the last few months on display. You know, all the
Yeah, just so people can look at them and imagine, just look at them and imagine them back in their original, well, I can anyway, but
and to be able to walk past what's left of the walls and see the grates.
Yeah,
and the
absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important that, we can't do anything about the small shattered pieces of the house, but obviously all the large pieces that are carved and ornate must be preserved. They're there for everyone to walk past and see. But that I don't know how that it was just an idea that was placed in my head. I don't know, to cut that channel out across the front of the house, so that you can safely sort of just walk by and almost touch it in a way and admire.
I think in time, I think they'll do it round the other side by the dining room and the library.
Oh, absolutely,
same sort of idea, and that
is exactly the same
of uncovering the perimeter, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say we started that. We started that, so we need to finish it at some point. Yeah,
we do need to finish that.
But there's been a lot of moving stuff. But it's not just been me. It's been me for the bigger bits. But Cherie and Chrissie are obviously digging and moving stuff all day. I went round. I was lucky enough to go around for a couple of hours last Sunday, and Graham was round there as well. And I think he's put some videos up of the cellars. He got down and put some videos up at long last.
Yeah.
So God knows what we'll ever do in there. But the mind boggles. It'd be great to open it all back up again. But
never going to happen. Can you imagine? I can imagine the fire brigade looking at you now, going, "No, I don't think so."
It was him.
Blame it on McAllister.
You know where you live. Oh dear me. Yeah. So ideally, people will be able to walk all the way around, and there's still a fair bit of ivy and roots and that to strip off on that library side and the rest of the big mound.
Yes.
But that's really grueling work, and when it was wet the other day on Wednesday, it was like I was just trying to hang on to the axe and the machete extra hard because everything was like slipping around, just wet through. So it's just like literally pulling it out.
Bobby, what I found when it's really wet is the ground's easier to dig. It's easier to remove soil when it's wet.
Yeah, and
when it's dry, it's compounded. It's really hard to get yourself in there. So
the opposite for the ivy, it's even harder to pull when it's wet and it's greasy and your gloves are getting wet. I got 2 pairs of gloves on Wednesday. Like when they're getting wet and muddy, it's like trying to pull it and it's slipping out. It's like, oh, get out! I need you. So it's all good fun though, isn't it? And I had a little exploratory look down at the big mound right at the far east end of the house, which is near the fence onto the dam.
From the kitchens.
Yeah, and a couple of bigger pieces of the kitchen courtyard keystones on the wall as well, and what looks to be the underneath side of possibly a fireplace or doorway.
I need to look at that. You never showed me that.
Yeah, there's a lot more under there as well. Lots and lots under there. It's literally Worm City under there, but because it's very wet and sheltered. And some interesting little bits as well. So there's plenty more to go up there. We're just never going to get bored or run out of things to look for, basically.
No.
We're going to wrap it up in a minute or two. I just tell people again where they can find us through Facebook, Milner Field History and Discovery Group, on the podcast, which is on Spotify. The video casts are on Spotify as well, on YouTube, on BitChute and Odyssey. We'll get them out on Rumble and things as well. If you're just listening, if you like the audio podcasts, then they're on all major podcast platform, Amazon Music, Apple iTunes, Audible, and all the rest. I can't remember them all now. Spotify and so on. And please keep tuning in. We'll keep. There's Miss Peaches. It's just coming in.
Oh, can you see her?
She's like, what are you humans doing now? Oh, in between naps, probably. Yeah, so it only remains probably for us to wish you a happy Easter weekend and a good holiday if you're having a break. Hope you get to spend that with your families and your loved ones. And we'll hopefully see you all again very soon. Yeah, and bye-bye as well, which is nice. Or up to wave. So we'll see you all again very soon. And thanks for watching again. And cheerio for now.
Bye for now. Cheers.